Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
Hey guys, Amber here with A Meeple Family, and today I am going to be going over 10 of the solo games I really enjoyed playing over the month of July. I cannot believe today is August 1st. I cannot believe that July is over. July is kind of a crazy month for us. 2 of my 4 children have birthdays. They're actually born on the same day, which makes for an epic birthday party, but it is always a lot of work. August also is the month that we officially start school, which means I am cramming in as many board game plays as I can in July to wrap out the summer. So I definitely have a lot of games that I played in July. On Wednesday, so in a couple days, I am going to be putting out a video that goes over absolutely all of the games we played in July, more as a family and with friends and different events that we had. So I'm really excited to share that. But today's video is just going to be over my solo plays. Now I do have a few in here that I was not super a big fan of, but for the most part, these are games I really enjoyed getting to the table solo for the month of July. Also, if my eyes look watery, my nose looks red, and my voice sounds different, it is because I am on the tail end of a summertime cold, which is just always so fun. Well, let's get started. So for the first game I have for you, it's actually an app or a game, whatever. I played the app version, and it is called Savannah Park. This is one of those games I actually prefer the app better because it does have a lot of like components and setting up and tearing down, and there's all the pieces of the animal tiles. And to me, the app just makes it super easy. There is an option to play multiplayer on the app, but I actually just enjoy the solo element. You're trying to make herds of animals, but you want to be strategic about where you put your animals. You want to put certain animals in certain places depending on how many animals are in a tile. And in order for herds to count, there has to be a watering hole within that herd of animals. This is one I have really enjoyed playing over the month of July. If I've got my phone on me and my kids are outside playing or whatnot, it's so easy to pull up, and I literally lose myself in the puzzle of this game. It's one that I don't feel like I can put down because I'm keeping track of where all these animals are going and I'm thinking ahead of where to place things. Great puzzly game. If you haven't tried it, definitely check out the app, or if you get the opportunity to play the physical copy, I can't recommend it enough. Super fun game. Next up, you guys probably have already heard me talk about this one if you've been subscribed to the channel, and that is Mr. Cabbage Head's Garden. I just love this game. It is simply delightful. That is the word that comes to mind. Delightful. This is such a delightful card game. And I think because it's summer and the garden theme, and it just makes me feel regal when I'm playing this. Like I've said before, I just want to live in this town where vegetables have personalities and faces. I think it is so adorable. Such a fun gameplay. It's different every time depending on the neighbors that you pick out. This is one I definitely loved playing solo during the month of July. With that delightful theme in mind, another one I love playing solo is the Isle of Cats. And yes, I did talk about this in my June video because I was able to get this game actually for my birthday. June is my birthday month. This was my birthday game, and I got it to the table several times in July as well. Love the way that the AI is structured in the Isle of Cats. It gives you just enough to compete with and think about during the game, but it's not overbearing and difficult to operate at all. To me, having that AI is what really makes the solo experience work. And of course, as you know, I love games that I can play multiplayer, but also get off and play solo as well. And this is like a match made in heaven. The Isle of Cats is such a great theme, such a great game, and the AI is really well done for the solo player. I love to make these solo videos because I always like to encourage people to get those games off their shelf and onto the table. So this is definitely one that if you own it and you haven't tried out the Isle of Cats solo mode, I highly recommend it. It is a really fun play, and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, next up on my list is the game called 11 Z's for One. I was drawn to this game totally by the theme. I thought the theme was adorable. It definitely had a like Pride and Prejudice feel to it, you know, a Downton Abbey-esque vibe, and I was super excited to check it out. But I can tell you this, I didn't even finish the game because once I understood how the game worked, which really just reminded me of a wallet game or maybe like a button shy game, those 18 cards or less type games, there's so many games that I like that I feel do it better. And so when I got this out, I was left kind of like, oh, this is not what I thought this gameplay was going to be, and I didn't really care for it. It is not one of my favorites, and I will probably be culling this game, but I still wanted to include it in the list because it was new to me, and I was initially really excited about it, and it just fell flat for me. So that is 11 Z's for 1. Next up on my list is a game put out by Genius Games called Cellulose. If you're not familiar with Genius Games, they're a company that loves to take these like science themes or maybe like hard to understand scientific processes and put them onto a board game. Now, I do have to admit, I am a little bit biased because I love biology. I am definitely a biology nerd. So for me, this theme is not a turnoff at all, and I think it is fascinating that they can make something that maybe will seem so dull so much fun and so enjoyable. Cellulose is basically at its core a worker placement game, right? Kind of like Everdell. You put your worker out and you get to do something. Super simple. I absolutely love the game Cellulose, but I do want to talk about the solo version of Cellulose. To be honest with you guys, this is one of the more difficult AI decks I have ever operated. Let me tell you why that is, and maybe you'll hear this and think that's exactly what I'm looking for. For me, this took me literally like 4 days of rereading the rules and making sure I was understanding it correctly to actually get to where I could play the game at a somewhat decent pace. So obviously for a worker placement game, like my turn is like taking my little meeple dude and like putting it on a space and taking the action, boom, I'm done. And it would be the AI's turn. And they give you 4 options on the AI card. So it's like, can your AI do this? No. Can it do this? No. Can it do this? Yes. Okay, so that's the one we're gonna do. Then I have to determine from the selection my AI is able to do or the action they're able to do, I have to move that AI's like strategy marker. So the AI actually comes with this like grid where you're moving this little token one of 4 directions. And the goal is for your AI to, depending on what actions they take, form a strategy, which is really cool because every time you play, your AI feels a little bit more human. But because of that, it is a lot more complicated to run and operate, in my opinion. So as the game progresses, your AI is locked into, 2 of the 4 strategies. And when this happens, you're introducing like these strategic cards into the deck that are going to promote the AI towards that strategy. You're also adding cards in and unlocking different actions your AI is going to take once you level up to level 2. So it just feels like a lot. So here, my turn is put my guy out, take my action, and my AI turn is like 10 times longer because I'm having to make all these decisions. And I just felt like it was too much gameplay on the AI where I could hardly think about what I could do on my turn because I was so busy like making sure, looking through the rules, am I doing this right? Is this right? Okay, then they do this. Okay. It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Now, like I said, you may hear that and be like, that is exactly the kind of AI I love. I want to feel like I am playing with a human. It's pretty darn close, let me tell you, because it's developing strategy, it's introducing new cards, you're playing the cards. It's heavy. It's just a heavy AI. For me, I would love something just a little bit lighter so that I can focus on my game more and my strategy. And I felt like it did eventually get to a place where once I played it, probably about 5 times solo, I was like churning out the AI's turn way quicker, as that can be with many games, right? The more you play, the easier that flow gets. But even with that being said, it just was more than I want for a solo AI. Now, Cellulose as a whole, I absolutely love. I will definitely talk more about this on my video coming out Wednesday, where I kind of talk more about like the times we played together as a family. And I did feel like the solo play really did allow you to still feel like you were in this competition, and it was pretty cutthroat with the AI. But there is a steep learning curve. I definitely want that to be said about the AI with Cellulose. All right, next up, solo play that I really did enjoy for the month of July is Uwe Rosenberg's newest game called Framework. Now, I did do a solo play of this on my channel during the month of July, and I really, really liked this game. This was really fun. I have to admit, though, I do love the multiplayer so much more, and I talked about that on the video because in the multiplayer version, it's more of a race. Like, you just want to get out of your tokens before everyone else. You could care less what shape of frame and tiles you're building. It's just like combo as fast as you can and get out of those score tokens. On the other hand, and I feel like this is the case with most of these tile laying games, it turns into more of like a thinky, puzzly game where you are trying to stay within a 5x5 grid, because the way the solo scores is anything that builds outside of that 5x5 grid are negative points. So you're basically just trying to get that number down as low as possible. One of the things I love about Framework, especially multiplayer, are just like your unrestricted ability to just create these combos. And I feel like with the solo, it's way more restrictive because that's not the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to go, take your time and slowly think about how to place things so you're staying within that 5x5 grid. Now, of course, if you know me, I'm all about like having these games I can play around the table with friends and family, but it also offers a solo component. So for me, this is a great game and it fits into that niche that I love because it taps into both of those worlds. So I would never like turn my nose up at Framework because, I prefer the multiplayer version. I mean, I love that it offers a multiplayer version that I do really enjoy, and I love that I can play it solo as well. To me, I love that world, so it's a sweet spot for me, and I really do love Framework. I just enjoy the multiplayer version better. Well, I try not to get too negative about games because I feel like that it's so personal. Like I could hate a game, you could love a game, you could love a game, I could hate a game. That's the beauty of board games, right? There's so many to choose from and there's all these different mechanics. So with that being said, I don't typically like to talk negative about games, but I do have a couple coming up that I at least wanted to talk about because they were really talked up to me, at least, and I was so excited to get them, and I was kind of left deflated. So I don't know if you guys have ever felt that about a game where you're just like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on this game. It's going to be epic. And then you get it, and you're like, wow, I thought that was going to be way cooler than it was. So for me, one of those games was Canvas. My goodness, did I see so much buzz about Canvas? I mean, I was like, this is it. This is probably one of the best games ever made. And I really had some unrealistic expectations for what this game was going to deliver. So when I got Canvas, I was so excited. And honestly, I will say these translucent cards that like layer on top of each other and create pictures, super cool. Gameplay, on the other hand, now mind you, I've only played this solo. I have not played it multiplayer. It left me totally deflated. I was like, what? Like, I just didn't enjoy it. And I think because there's so many other games out there that have these same mechanics, and in my opinion, like, I just enjoy more. And Canvas was just okay. So if you get the chance to try it out, absolutely try it out. If you love like set collection and that kind of stuff, like it's a fun game and it does that. And it's cool because you have these transparent, cards and they layer over each other and they create these pictures. That's cool, but it's kind of like, okay, I saw it, I played it, like I could probably never play Canvas again and I would be okay. Now, similar to Canvas, I have another game that I was so excited to get and I just thought, wow, this is everything I love. It's so beautiful, and that is Meadow. And I was so excited to get Meadow and I thought, wow, this is gonna be so much fun. This game looks so beautiful. And then I got it, and again, I just feel like I built up this game to be something that it wasn't. So it kind of set me up to fail because I expected so much more out of this game. Similar to Canvas, like it was fun and it did its thing well. And I did really enjoy how the AI would take their cards. I felt like that offered a lot of randomness and variability to the game, but I just it fell flat for me. And I tried to keep coming back to it and playing it, and it still just, it wasn't a home run for me. That's all I can say. Now, did I enjoy it? Yeah, it was fun. It was relaxing. It was a very calming game. But at its core, it was just, drafting cards in a set collection. And it just I just wanted like a little bit more to the game. I don't even know what that was. It just didn't feel like there was enough there to keep me interested and keep me coming back. With that being said, I am still super excited to go to Gen Con and see the expansion that they're putting out for it. I'm kind of wondering what that element will add to the game. Sometimes those expansions can make the game a little meatier, and I just feel like I just needed a little something more with the game Meadow. Regardless, it is a beautiful game and it is fun. And if you like those types of games, it's great. To me, there's just other games that I enjoy playing more, but still a beautiful game. And I will say, I absolutely love the insert and how they allow you to construct the card holders, and you don't have to take them apart every time. I love that they made an insert that actually fit those in. That was super cool. But that is my opinion on Meadow. All right, well, I've got two more left for you, and my next one is Fantastic Factories, and I have to tell you, it is fantastic. I felt like the artwork on Fantastic Factories was so pretty. I just love the colors. I love how bright everything is, and it has like a very clean look. And this this is just something that like I was drawn to in Fantastic Factories. I love the solo play. It is so fun, so simple, and it really does share a lot of the same qualities like as if you're playing multiplayer, which I really like. Unlike Framework, right? Like Framework completely changes. I feel like the objective of the game changes solo, but I feel like Fantastic Factory stays pretty true to the multiplayer version of the game. And of course, the AI is so easy to operate, and you do feel that pressure to try to like end the game as soon as possible, because the longer the game goes on, the more your AI opponent is able to build up momentum and really earn more points. So the sooner that you can end the game and reach your end game objectives, the better chance you have of beating your AI opponent. I really love how the cards and dice are utilized in this game. I absolutely loved this game. Now, the only thing I will say about this game is I did feel after like 10 or 12 plays, I did feel like the cards got to be a bit redundant. And this is where I could really see wanting to purchase an expansion just to freshen up the deck a little bit, because I did feel like that got a little stale. But this was one I really enjoyed getting to the table solo in July. All right, and my last game I have for you is the Guild of Merchant Explorers, put out by AEG. Now, this game I know is going to be one of the featured releases at Gen Con. So if you're going to Gen Con, I would definitely stop by AEG and check this one out. This is another one where I feel like they did such a great job, like still allowing the solo game to feel similar to the multiplayer game. The one difference being that you absolutely have to get the 3 objective goal cards, where in the multiplayer game, it's kind of optional. Of course you want to, because you're going to get more coins, but in the solo version, you actually have to complete all 3 goals in order to win the game. And your AI really is just blocking those off. So it's a very easy AI to operate, which I love. I've been able to play all of the maps solo, and I love them all. They're so much fun, and every time you play, it's a little bit different because of how you're able to explore, which is kind of like a bingo style. You flip a card over, and that's the terrain you're able to explore. You're creating villages that you can branch off of in future turns. And of course, in the solo game, in addition to earning those 3 goals, you're also wanting to acquire as many coins as possible. And there's like an easy, medium, and hard mode. So that kind of sets the precedent of how many coins you need to acquire to win your game. If you're going to Gen Con, I can't recommend enough that you take time to either play test this or at least see a playthrough of it. Because like me, it may be one you really enjoy. Well, as I mentioned earlier, these solo playthroughs are all about encouraging you to get those games off the shelf and onto the table. Even if you don't have friends to play with, a lot of these games have solo versions that you can play yourself. It is a really fun time. It's probably becoming one of my favorite ways to play games, honestly. And like I've said in other videos, sitting down and playing the solo version of a game, it really allows me to like improve my strategy. And that way I feel like when I'm playing in a group, like I have the mechanics down so much more and the strategy down so much more. And it has really helped me become a better player overall. And as I stated earlier, on Wednesday, I'm going to be posting a video kind of going through everything that our family played during the month of July. I keep track of that through BG Stats, which is an app kind of that lets you like keep track of your board games and what ones you're playing and who you're playing with. And I absolutely cannot recommend that app enough. I do believe it's free. You do not need to do the upgrade paid version. I think the upgraded paid version just gives you like more statistics, but the app at its base level gives you so many statistics. I don't know how you could even like want any more than what they give you on the free level. And I am going to be going to Gen Con this year, and this is my first convention, which I think is a little bigger than I was anticipating. I would have liked to have attended a convention a bit smaller, but it worked out that I will be able to go. So if you see me wandering around aimlessly, please feel free to stop and say hi. I would love to meet you in person. So keep an eye out for me at Gen Con. And if you're not going to Gen Con, no worries. I am going to try to vlog a little bit to give those of you that maybe have never been an idea of kind of what it's like for a newbie or a first timer to experience Gen Con. I think it's going to be pretty overwhelming, but I am really looking forward to it. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I would love to have you give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. It really helps us out and we appreciate it so much. I look forward to chatting with you guys on Wednesday. Bye.
There's a winding road, no telling where it goes.